Trump Truth Commission. This is T+6, I guess, as of Monday, and 6 days after the election. And so Biden has been declared the winner, or projected the winner by the media outlets. That was as of Saturday. The whole time leading up to the election and post-election, and now heating up after Biden was projected to be the winner, is voter fraud information or misinformation, and basically most of it is either unverified, false, or just there is no evidence that's been presented yet. So I guess the preface is, if there is evidence of voter fraud, and if voter fraud did occur, that should be investigated, and that should be handled in the appropriate way and factored into the election results prior to the state certifying. So that is something I think I and every fair person acknowledge. So far, the Trump side, in many different forms, are presenting massive amounts of voter fraud allegations that are false. And false means there's no evidence yet or not proven. So I'm going to go through a few of those right now, and then the next one, maybe the next day or two, then I'm going to focus in on what the Trump family extraordinaire is doing, and that would be Trump Sr., Trump Jr., and Eric Trump primarily, and then directly some of his minions like Rudy Giuliani. Those are really dangerous because they're taking a lot of legs and they're getting reinforced in so many places. So this is getting to be heavy stuff just because of the massive amounts of information out there, misinformation. All right, so the list of things that are included here are software glitches, dead people voting, poll worker accusations, many of those things like ballots mishandling, security ballots falsely being filled in, ballot stuffing, and then things like states rejecting ballots, mail-in ballots, ballot verification, and I guess vote counting observations, and then classic partisan stuff. So that's the list. The details are I just keep those updated in the website there and on the facts page, so you can kind of get a link to some of that, including all the sources that I'm using. So that's that. First thing, the big one being used right now is software glitches in Michigan and implications elsewhere. But they're indicating the software glitches have created tens of thousands of votes that should have been gone to Trump going to Biden, and now it's primarily in the state of Michigan in one county, and then they're saying that could have easily happened in other ones and should be investigated. Right now, that's false. There is no proven information or no evidence of that. So there was an error in Michigan in one county where there was a large number of votes that were incorrectly reported, and the Secretary of State for the state of Michigan in charge of voting came out with statements saying there's no evidence that this user error occurred elsewhere in the state, and they identified it as a human error and not a software glitch, and it was corrected very quickly. So dead people voting, very common one. Dead people voting in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, and elsewhere, that is an allegation. So in Pennsylvania, there's no evidence yet. That is a common voter fraud allegation. Often it is having to do with somebody passing away and their mail-in ballot being sent in on their behalf after they passed away. That's one common thing. Another one is having to do with some administrative corrections between the voter registration rolls and the actual names, and sometimes there's false impressions of whether somebody was alive or not. But there are some cases where some ballots were sent in. And one case that is proven in Pennsylvania, where somebody had looked at the sample ballot, they passed away, their real ballot came in, and that was sent in on their behalf. That the family indicated that person was likely a Trump, they would have voted for Trump. But it doesn't really matter. That was a single instance. No other proven instances in Pennsylvania that we're aware of, and there's no evidence of widespread situations of dead people voting. There's also allegation of 21,000 dead people voting in Pennsylvania. This was taken up before the election, but that is also false. It was brought to court. The judge asked if there's any evidence of that, and the plaintiff did not provide any. The plaintiff was a public interest legal foundation, and they didn't provide any proof to the judge. So that is not a situation. In Michigan, also allegations of dead people voting, but the Michigan election officials have come out and said that that has not occurred, at least as far as in any proven situation. So in one Michigan case, there was a video circulating where the Michigan's Voter Information Center, they were looking at some of the rolls there, and they're showing people that allegedly were dead that were voting. That was proven to be false, and that video was circulated, but the claims were disproven. So that's an allegation of votes being stolen from Trump was false. Then there's a bunch of poll worker allegations. So there's a video of poll workers in Pennsylvania filling in ballots, and that was cited as proof of fraud. That is false. The video shows election workers transcribing votes from damaged ballots to clean ballots so that they can be run through the machine. So that's an example of how information, even on a video, can get misinterpreted out of context and falsely circulated. So that created a false impression. And more video things circulating around. One about poll workers stuffing ballots in Flint, Michigan. That is false. The video that circulated was actually poll workers in Russia from 2018. So that was false. There's an allegation, a video of ballot mishandling in Detroit, Michigan, and that became an allegation as well. That was false. That was basically a news truck that was unloading equipment, and that was being reported as ballot mishandling. There's a common allegation about Sharpies being used or being issued to people so that they can fill out their ballots and it won't count, but that is false, and Maricopa County in Arizona came out with a statement saying in the cases being mentioned in that specific instance, they were actually giving people Sharpies because it works better for the ballots, and it allows a complete marking of the ballot, and that can be counted by the machine. So that implication was false. A couple different ones about the number of mail-in votes being that are being recorded or counted are more than the actual registered mail-in votes, and that happened in Pennsylvania. That happened in I think in Wisconsin as well. So in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, there is that allegation that there was more mail-in votes counted than ballots sent, but that was an inaccurate graphic in a local TV station, and that was corrected. That was quickly corrected, by the way. In Wisconsin, there was a situation of, I guess there was a viral tweet basically indicating that more counts happened than registered voters, but the number that was being used for registered voters was 2 years old from 2018, and since then there's been 500,000 more registered voters. So in Georgia, where the race is incredibly narrow, there's an allegation that 40,000 absentee ballots were rejected. That is false. And so in DeKalb County in Georgia, the officials said that currently there are only approximately 200 ballots that need to be cured, which is a term for correcting a ballot legally, and each voter is being contacted. So that was a false thing that was corrected. In Michigan, there was a map of, I guess, on election night showing a sudden shift of 130,000 votes. So that created a big stir, and some people are still talking about that. That is misleading. The map did occur. The map was shown, but that was basically a data entry error, and it was also quickly corrected. It went out on Twitter very quickly and got a lot of retweets, and so that kind of became a permanent thing. But the person who did the initial tweet indicated that it was false. It was an error, and he removed it very quickly, and he apologized for it. So that is misinformation. Then we're getting into a few of the classic Trump allegations. So the first of Trump allegations is basically that some of the mail-in ballots are being there's no requirements for identification whatsoever. That is false, and Pennsylvania has very, very specific requirements for in-person voting and then also for mail-in voting. And with regards to mail-in, which is what Trump was alleging or implying, the Secretary of State indicated that ballots should not be counted if they have not been verified as far as identity goes for the mail-in ballots. But basically, the people who send in mail-in ballots and haven't done the verification process, they have about 6 days, I think, until November 12th. Not 6 days, but they have until November 12th by state law to show proof of identity. So there are specific rules that are being followed there. So that's a false allegation, and there's many ways to disprove that. Trump also alleges that the Democrats in Pennsylvania went to state Supreme Court to deny the possibility for Republicans to observe their vote, or the Trump team to observe the vote counting. That is false. So I mentioned that before, but basically that there was a court case. State of Pennsylvania did have some observation requirements due to COVID. There were where people were more distanced than what they typically have done. The court said that they had to allow observers up to 6 feet, so that did change. So they followed that direction, but in no cases were they being denied their legal access. Pennsylvania was complying with law. Last one is one of Trump's golden oldies with regards to angry Democrats. Or he didn't use angry in this case. He has before in other allegations. So with regards to Pennsylvania, he said that the officials overseeing accounting in Pennsylvania are part of a Democrat corrupt machine. He actually used those terms. So that is false. So the Pennsylvania accounting is being done by a variety of counties that are led by both Democrats and Republicans. So it's a mixture, and they're not corrupt unless they're proven otherwise. If there's they could be, and that is a serious allegation, but you need evidence for that. There is no evidence. So both those things are false. So these are big deals. Those are just a list of some of the miscellaneous things floating around, but they gather legs and no one disproves those, or they don't push back against it. So the next one is going to be focusing again on the Trump family, Senior, Junior, and Eric, and then Giuliani and maybe some other people as well, because those ones are getting even more legs, and they're retweeting and tweeting and tweeting over and over again. So it just it continues to have life. So with that said, music and